Good evening. Electricorp has backed down on its promise to release a geological report this year on the slip-prone Cromwell Gorge. In the meantime, work is going ahead with a second tunnel under the giant Number 9 Creek slide at the Cromwell end of the gorge. Work has stopped on the first tunnel after problems with cave-ins, and no decisions yet been made on the need to build a 4-kilometre rock buttress at the toe of the slide. But there's options, among others, being studied by overseas consultants. August is now being talked of for possible lake fill. That's 12 months later than the date given in April this year. An announcement is expected this week that the Dunedin Middlemarch railway line will be saved as a tourist trip, and attention is turning to the fate of the rest of the line. With only one train a fortnight, the line to Clyde is in danger of closing, but a growing number of people don't want it ripped up and sold for scrap. Michael Lynch reports.
The Kingston flyer riding the rails of central Otago? The idea mightn't be totally far-fetched, for the flyer's running out of puff on its present track. And the central line, from Clyde up to Omakau, snaking through tunnel and viaduct over the Raggedy Range to Aturahua, and across the wide Maniatoto to follow down the Taieri River through Hyde and Middlemarch, is nothing if not scenic. But the line's on its hind legs, and the flyer, running perhaps from Alex to Aturahua, is among the last-ditch solutions. About one train a fortnight now makes it up to Clyde. There are only 6 maintenance staff on the whole line. After 100 years, the country's longest branch line looks on the skids. Rumour is there's $1 million deal already to sell it for scrap to India, but a growing number of people in Central don't want it pulled up.
Well, that should be one of the stupidest things they do in their life. I mean, say, look overseas now, they're trying to lay half the trick down, aren't they? They rip it up to put it back down again. Well, see, all they do is spin it and just leave it. There's no harm done, and we spray it every year or something like that to keep it clean. I mean, so I can't see what sense in pulling it up.
It's all very good tourist country, really.
OK, you're running the district council. What are you going to do about it?
Well, it hasn't come before the district council yet, of course, but certainly they should be concerned about it, and perhaps even act as a catalyst to try and get enough interest in it, in the line, to get it retained for future tourist use.
OK, are you going to do anything about this?
Yes, I'll certainly be bringing it up.
The fate of the line rests with Stan Roger, but Stan's proving a tad elusive. As both Minister of Railways and State-owned enterprises, his staff claim it'd be conflict of interest to comment. The locals see it differently.
I think he should be involved as well as everyone else in Otago. It's an Otago-wide facility, and Otago should be concerned about it.
The tunnels are certainly there. Not too many can see the light at the end, though.
Telecom is replacing 200,000 telephones which have faulty wiring. It's recalling 4 different models, one of which has been the standard rental in the South Island for nearly 2 years. Sally Pears reports.
Telecom expects 2% of its phones to fail, but where more than that were being returned, it got worried. A wiring fault's been discovered in 4 different models. If you have any of these phones, you may have noticed a noisy line, find it difficult to get a dial tone, or have trouble getting them to work at all. The supplier Alcatel STC has accepted full responsibility for the fault, and Telecom say it will be replacing the phones. But that can't happen immediately. Telecom doesn't have enough phones on hand to replace them all at once.
People that are bedridden, have young children at home, they would take priority, particularly if they couldn't come in to get a phone changed. We would like them to come into Telecom business centres with a phone, but we would go out and fix a phone if there is a problem and they are an urgent case.
Telecom have denied the fault caused the failure of some telephones to reach the 111 number.
Decision has been reserved in a case brought by police against Television New Zealand, charging a breach of a suppression order issued in the District Court. Judge Everett, who said the case raised important issues in the administration of justice and media reporting of court, will give his decision at the end of January. The charges arose from the broadcasting on the South tonight of some suppressed details of a case involving Dunedin lawyer Anthony Borrick. The hearing took 2 days. Dunedin's new police community relations officer believes the police have a big role to play in preserving our quality of life. Senior Sergeant Bill O'Brien says the police and the community need to work together to ensure we live in a caring, safe society. John McDermott reports.
Sergeant Bill O'Brien's first full day in the job was spent getting to know a little of the city and meeting some of the police officers he'll be working with. He's come south from a stint instructing at the police college in Wellington, having earlier built a reputation as a fingerprint expert. Bill O'Brien's role is one of improving relations with the general public through community consultation. He acknowledges the relationship between the police and the community has varied during his long spell in the force.
I think there was a period where it started to get a little wider, the gap was wider. We're moving back towards the community now. At one stage we were very centralised, travelling around in cars, not meeting the people as we may have in the past. But I think that we're heading back more towards the old community, local police station type approach, and that's what the public seem to want.
Community policing is making a strong comeback in both Dunedin and in Invercargill. Bill O'Brien hopes to promote that, as well as working with victim support and neighbourhood support groups.
Well, Manama may have its hat, the colourful squatter who's a thorn in the side of local authorities with his immovable riverbed mansion. But Alexandra can boast a couple of thousand brand new hats, thanks to the energy of local high school pupils. Michael Lynch reports.
It's not for nothing Dunstan High School situated in Enterprise Street. These money-making writing pads put it into the final 5 of the National Young Enterprise Contest. And now it's hats. Thousands of them. The school's German class is doing its bit to shelter young and old heads from the searing central sun, and building up a fund for a trip to Europe in the process. But it's also increasing awareness about the damage sun can do.
Yeah, they actually understand about the ozone layer and ultraviolet rays, so it's come across pretty well.
There's one little catch though. The school couldn't find a suitably stylish hat in New Zealand, so it had to turn to Australia for something thicker. But when you've sold 2,000 hats in a few weeks, this is only a quibble.
I don't think we can afford to be parochial on this. We need the sun hats. Australians are really into sun hats. At schools in Australia, everybody has to wear sun hats. You don't go out into the grounds if you don't have a sun hat on. Yeah. They are way ahead of us on this, so I felt it wasn't bad to follow their example.
Aussies or not, the Alex aim is to cover the country with their $12 slouch hats.
And we hope there have been plenty of hats in evidence at the Southland AMP Society's Royal Show, which got off to an excellent start today. We hope you have another great day tomorrow. And don't forget, we'll be broadcasting live from the showgrounds on People's Day on Thursday. We'll be looking forward to seeing you there. Have a good night. We'll be back tomorrow. Good night.